Far-left Democrat squad member Cori Bush of Missouri is now under federal investigation for misusing federal security money. Bush has spent more than $750,000 on private security since she was elected in 2020. Now, remember, these are the same people who defunded the police, but then had to have private security.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering.
America.
Welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. The headline says it all. Congresswoman Cori Bush from Missouri is under investigation by the Department of Justice, the Federal Elections Commission, and the House Ethics Committee. There's a whole lot to unpack here, and we're going to go at this from many different angles, but before we do, I'm going to ask everybody to please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows, and if you like what you see and hear in this or any other video, smash that thumbs up button, like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that good stuff, because all of that feeds the YouTube algorithm.
Feed me Seymour.
Thank you guys so much for all that you do and getting the word out about the channel. It's bringing a lot of people into the channel, and if you're one of those new people who are visiting for the first time, boy, did you guys pick a great episode, because we're going to be attacking this story from a lot of different angles, ranging from the local news to national reaction and all points in between. But before I get into the story, let's give a little disclaimer just to cover my ass. So this is a story about investigations being confirmed. Now, investigations are not indictments, and they're not convictions. This is just speculation by everybody concerning what may be investigated at these different levels, the DOJ, the FEC, and the House. Now, we're going to be speculating about a lot of different things. We're going to have a lot of theories to talk about, and there's going to be reactions and opinions on this. But I want you guys to understand that everybody, including Cori Bush, is innocent until proven guilty. Yes, I know she didn't respond that way when it came to Donald Trump, and many Democrats didn't do so, but we're better than that. And we're going to stick to that assumption and just report the facts, maybe give a little bit of background information, and certainly discuss the political ramifications of this news.
Everybody got that?
As you guys know, Cori Bush is a representative from the St. Louis area. She was a Black Lives Matter activist. She's a far-left progressive, a member of the squad, and she responded on Tuesday to allegations and rumors and innuendo that she was under federal investigation under the DOJ. This speculation started when the House Sergeant-at-Arms confirmed that an information subpoena was served on them concerning a member of Congress. So Cori Bush said on Tuesday she is facing these investigations. This matters in different ways for different reasons. Politically, Bush is facing a primary challenge from a gentleman named Wesley Bell. This is sure to buoy his campaign, which happens to be very well funded. Cori Bush is in for a fight locally, and that's going to be a pretty significant issue from a political standpoint. Like we said, the House Sergeant-at-Arms office set off a media firestorm. I love the way they say that. It's so dramatic. On Monday of this week, when it notified the House that an unidentified member had received a Department of Justice subpoena. Quote, "This is to notify you formally, pursuant to Rule 8 of the Rules of the House, that the office of the Sergeant-at-Arms for the House of Representatives has been served with a grand jury subpoena for documents issued by the Department of Justice." So the Department of Justice has a grand jury convened reviewing evidence concerning Cori Bush. The revelation is that Bush is the target of the subpoena, was first reported by an organization called Punchbowl News. Now, if you want to, go search them out at punchbowl.news. They are a subscription-based news service. If you want to check them out, feel free to do so. She confirmed, she being Bush, that the DOJ is reviewing her campaign spending on security services. She denied that she has used official congressional funds to pay for security, saying that she used campaign funds as permissible to retain security services. So what could be the rub here? What's going on? She also refuted any wrongdoing around her use of campaign funds to retain her husband as part of her security team. So that adds in a possibility of the reasoning behind this investigation, that she is using campaign funds to pay family members, writing it up as security services, and it may not exactly be kosher, as they say here in the People's Republic of New York City. Let's dig a little deeper into the story and see what the local news is reporting about Cori Bush and these investigations. KMOV4 in St. Louis has more information that we can use as backfill and background that could fill in some of the blanks on this DOJ and multiple entity investigation that's happening right now with Cori Bush.
But it may not be just the fact that Congresswoman Bush is hiring private security, but who she is hiring that is of the most interest to the feds. Bush has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars since first taking office on private security, even since there first was scrutiny over it. In just the first 9 months of 2023, her campaign spent close to $130,000 on security. That money paid out to a number of individuals and entities for security services. But more than $42,000 in the first 3 quarters of 2023 were paid directly to her husband, Courtney Merritt's, something she has repeatedly defended and did so again to date. But one thing we looked at today, First Alert 4 Investigates has confirmed that Merritt's does not have a security license in the city of St. Louis or the county of St. Louis.
That's pretty important. If money is going from federal campaign funds to pay for personal security, and that money is going to someone like a boyfriend or the husband of the member of Congress, maybe it'll be a smart idea for that person that's doing the security services to be a licensed security officer. Just a little detail, right? But hey, these little details, that's what gets politicians in trouble. They're so brazen and so arrogant about all this money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions of dollars going through campaign accounts. And they're so cavalier about it that they start spreading the wealth amongst family members and, loved ones and things like this.
No one will ever know. No one will ever know. No one will ever know. No one will ever know.
This is how they get in trouble, folks.
That is required by law to work security here in the district Bush represents. We also checked in 3 other people named in Bush's financial records as having received campaign funds for security: Joseph Walter, Nathaniel Davis, and Cornelius Brown. None of them have active licenses. And that is something that is of interest to good government advocates who we brought this to, saying it could be of concern.
Yeah, you think?
So at least 4 people were paid for security services, and they're not licensed to perform those services, at least in Missouri or in St. Louis County. That's very interesting. And yes, good government people want to make sure that money donated to campaigns and to politicians are used properly. This is the kind of stuff that gets people in jail, folks.
I think that Cori Bush's supporters would be rightfully upset that this money is not being spent on campaign activity, but is being given to family and friends who appear not to have the qualifications or licensing or background to provide the services that the campaign claims that they're providing.
Now, local laws here say that working without an active security license in the city or the county could result in arrest. And the law says that companies or agencies that knowingly employ someone without a license subjects them to a fine and or liability and a civil action.
That's why the FEC portion of this, to me, is pretty interesting. And certainly the DOJ portion as well. DOJ, for all I know, and again, just speculation here, there's been no official word from the DOJ. In fact, they've had no comment on the ongoing investigation. But one possibility could be embezzlement, fraud, improper use of campaign funds, all sorts of different crimes that we could be looking at here, in addition to the local laws and the civil penalties and fines that were just discussed. There's a whole lot of moving parts here, folks, and it doesn't sound good. Again, remember the disclaimer. Investigations are not indictments. They're not convictions. There's been no finding of fact here. But where there's smoke, there usually is fire.
We have asked the Bush campaign about the lack of licenses here. They have not yet responded to all of our questions. Certainly something we are seeking to clarify whether or not they believe those security officers need to have licenses.
Would you care to explain yourself, young lady?
Let's go now to Cori Bush's press conference and let's see what she has to say about all of this.
I hold myself, my campaign, and my position to the highest levels of integrity. I also believe in transparency, which is why I can confirm that the Department of Justice is reviewing my campaign spending on security services.
Now, it's easy to be transparent after about a day and maybe a little more of rumor and innuendo pointing at you as the target of the investigation. All she's doing is confirming what had already been reported and speculated upon on social media with Punchbowl News and the like. So let's give her a big round of applause for being so transparent after being outed by the media. Independent media, I want to add, not that cable news stuff. This is a win for independent media.
We are fully cooperating with this investigation, and I would like to take this opportunity to outline the facts and the truth.
Would you like me to explain?
I would love to hear this.
So would I.
Since before I was sworn into office, I have endured relentless threats to my physical safety and life. As a rank and file member of Congress, I am not entitled to personal protection by the House and instead have used campaign funds as permissible to retain security services. I have not used any federal tax dollars for personal security services. Any reporting that I have used funds for personal security is simply false. In recent months, right-wing organizations have lodged baseless complaints against me.
So she's going the Hillary Clinton vast right-wing conspiracy route. Now, this is not surprising. She's been a very vocal critic of the Republican Party and Donald Trump and MAGA and all that. So, of course, in a situation like this, why not make the far-right extremists, the MAGA people, the Donald Trump people, they're the boogeyman anyway. So let's keep making them the boogeymen. All these Republicans, they're pouncing at Cori Bush, apparently. Okay, sure.
Peddling notions that I have misused campaign funds to pay for personal security services. That simply is not true. I have complied with all applicable laws and House rules and will continue to prioritize the rules that govern us as federal elected officials. In particular, the nature of these allegations have been around my husband's role on the campaign. In accordance with all applicable rules, I retained my husband as part of my security team to provide security services because he has had extensive experience in this area and is able to provide the necessary services at or below fair market rate.
Now that's pretty interesting. You know who can provide security services at below market rates? People who aren't licensed to provide security services. Notice she didn't say that he's licensed to provide these services, but that he's qualified to provide these services. Big distinction there. You got to listen to people's words, folks. These words matter. This was a carefully tailored statement that she's reading from. She's not ad-libbing here, and she's going off of certain words that hopefully, she hopes at least, won't bite her in the butt later on. She didn't say he was licensed to provide security services, but that he was qualified to do so. Very interesting point there. You got to watch out for those little things, guys.
These frivolous complaints have resulted in a number of investigations, some of which are still ongoing. The Federal Election Commission and the House Committee on Ethics are currently reviewing the matter, as is the Department of Justice. We are fully cooperating in all these pending investigations. In September of last year, 2023, after conducting a months-long investigation, the Office of Congressional Ethics found no wrongdoing and voted unanimously to dismiss the case. I look forward to this same outcome from all impending investigations. And I am under no illusion that these right-wing organizations will stop politicizing and pursuing efforts to attack me and the work that the people of St. Louis sent me to Congress to do.
There it is again. It's a vast right-wing conspiracy, y'all. Forget about, Department of Justice is run by the Biden administration, and, forget about that the FEC is investigating her and that the House Ethics is investigating her. No, it's just Republicans coming after her. There's nothing to see here, folks. Just a political vendetta.
Please disperse. Nothing to see here.
Now, what makes Bush's presentation here all the more hypocritical, the hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on these security services, 24/7 security for her, personal security, is that she's been fighting since 2020 to deprive you of 24/7 security services in the forms of your local police. She has been shouting from the mountaintops about defunding the police. So after the break, we're going to look at some of those statements and reactions from the left to what Cori Bush has been saying in light of this revelation of these multiple investigations. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. Let's flash back to August of 2021, where Cori Bush appeared on CBS News to poorly attempt to reconcile her private security spending with her defund the police positions.
I'm going to make sure I have security because I know I have had attempts on my life and I have too much work to do. There are too many people that need help right now for me to allow that. So if I end up spending $200,000, if I spend $10 more on it, you know what? I get to be here to do the work. So suck it up, and defunding the police has to happen. We need to defund the police and put that money into social safety nets because we're trying to save lives.
What the hell was that?
Yeah, suck it up, you pores. If you could afford private security at a clip of 6 figures per year, you'd do it too, because these police are just bad, man. Come on, there's no way to reconcile these two positions. Because I have the money, I get the security, but you don't, and I'm going to take money away from you and from the police protecting you? Come on, it's ridiculous. But don't take my word for it. Listen to Paul Begala on CNN of all places reacting to this particular clip.
What do you make of today's news in light of her activism in favor of defunding the police?
Yeah, it's beyond irony and all the way to hypocrisy. Congresswoman Bush was one of the few Democrats who pushed this defund the police slogan. By the way, the vast majority of Democrats opposed it. They opposed it in referenda in Minneapolis, even where George Floyd was murdered by a cop. But still, it's terribly problematic, and I don't even understand that answer. I want security for my members of Congress, Republicans and Democrats. I think that we should have more taxpayer money. I want my taxpayer money to protect Congresswoman Bush and every other member of the House and Senate, because there are threats. But my goodness, the hypocrisy of that is really pretty outrageous.
I can't disagree. Yes, we want members of Congress to be secure. We want everybody to be secure, especially those serving us and traveling to D.C., and they may be under certain threats and things like that. Of course, we want all that investigated. We don't want anything to happen to them. Everyone should agree with that, regardless of who we're talking about on either side of the aisle. But to advocate a position that people who live everyday lives should be less safe because police should have less resources, and then to use other people's money to spend on their own personal security, and to do so in a crony way by giving it to your husband who's not licensed to provide the services, that stinks to high heaven of hypocrisy.
It's a mess. This is a real mess.
But the hypocrisy goes a little bit further than that, because as I said earlier, Cori Bush has been an outspoken critic of Donald Trump, far-right extremists, MAGA Republicans, and the like, to the point where she gets downright dirty and disgusting and down in the mud when it comes to speaking out against Republicans that are supposedly pouncing on her right now. Here's a clip from late June of last year in the Durham hearings with the House Judiciary Committee, where Cori Bush is spewing her hateful vitriol about Donald Trump, Republicans, and everybody on the right.
And let's take a step back for a minute. In the chaos created by all these conspiracy theories and other propaganda amplified by right-wing hate machine, the one we continue to hear, a very simple point is getting lost. Republicans will do anything, say anything, and spend any amount of money to hide the basic truth that their leader is a criminal, corrupt, narcissistic buffoon.
Okay, you don't get to use my word, okay? Buffoon is my word. And man, you calling someone else a buffoon, ain't that a kick in the head? Cori Bush is a hateful, race-baiting buffoon politically. But that doesn't mean I won't give her the grace that she won't offer to Republicans. And that she's innocent until proven guilty, and that at the end of the day, this is all an investigation. But there's a lot to unpack here, and I'm confident that we're going to get somewhere with this one, only because of the Biden administration's own DOJ sending out the subpoena, convening this grand jury, and the local news reports about the fishiness of the security services provided by unlicensed individuals, including her husband, all of whom received campaign finance money contributed by donors to this buffoon of a politician.
I guess we'll see.
But listen, that's just my opinion on this subject. And of course, I have my caveats that I talked about earlier in the show. I want to know what you guys think about all of this. Is Cori Bush in trouble here? Will the DOJ actually do something this time? I want to know what you guys think about all this. Is this a Democrat that's going to get their tail caught in the fan in this election year? Let's talk about it in the comments. And as always, please like and share the show with your friends. Subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Like the show. Whatever else I'm missing, please do it so we can have more conversations about this and every other buffoon trying to pull off whatever shenanigans they're trying to do every day this week in DUMBmocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.